Yeah, the Chris Collinsworth slide on in.
Last person I want to.
Oh, what a game we've got.
Let's go.
Oh, man. Oh, they just updated the availability report. Carson Kafusi, doubtful.
Put me on the pod, Steven. Andrew Crane is ready to go. Can confirm.
As consistent as the sunrise, man. Shout out to Crane. Doing his thing. One day.
Got our first twin comment. Took no time at all.
Love it. Shout out to Alec.
Did we get the Discord set?
We did. Well, I better double check to make sure. Yeah, we did. Okay.
As long as Tyler's happy. I make sure Tyler's happy.
Oh man. All right. Oh. Andrew Crane, yeah. Crane will be on this pod one day. Ooh. I think the baseball field is going to be nice. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty nice. I'm excited for that to be finished. We got the tour. The 10,000 square foot hitting facility is going to be incredible. Really excited for the baseball team. I've got a family friend on the team and super excited for him. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. All right. Welcome on in to the Utah Blockcast live stream previewing Utah versus Texas Tech. This is a big one, Bennett. This is a big one. Just where are you at right now? Vibes. What are the vibes? How are we feeling on a Thursday night?
Feeling good. I feel like there's still a lot to do between now and Saturday, but we'll get there. It is Thursday. I get the Dolphins beating out of they're tied at half. That was nice. But
how?
Yeah, no. Overlooking Miami. But we don't want to overlook Texas Tech, so let's stay on track. Vibes are good, man. Feel good about this one. Just like gut just says, like this is a game that we win. I like that we've gone on the road twice. We've had to face a little bit of adversity. We put some troubles on tape. We've had that opportunity, whereas Texas Tech, they've got none of that. They haven't left their house, and I just think traveling to Salt Lake City for your first road game of the year when you don't know a dang thing about your team, it doesn't
That's
feel
a doozy.
Yeah. So feeling good. I don't know what it looks like, but I feel good.
Yeah, probably better than this. I mean, overlooking Miami, man, that's tough. Buffalo, come on now. What are we doing? Come on. Anyways, yeah, like you said, this is a big one for both teams, both coming in 3-0, 16-17 in the country. And this one has huge implications in a number of different ways. I think this one isn't just, it's not just a conference game, but given the conversation around both programs, right, for different reasons, with the amount of money that Texas Tech has invested in their program, with Utah scaling the mountain in the Pac-12 only to fall on their face the last couple of years with the injury situation. Both programs are looking to, make a statement. And I think this is sort of the game that both programs have circled on the calendars as the game, and so obviously Utah, I think, wants to prove that they're back in terms of, their title championship contender status, right? They want to prove that. And Tech, they want to prove that the money was well invested in the amount of money that they spent this offseason. So a lot going into this game, and certainly, a lot to learn about both programs moving forward. I think this is one where, looking at it, there's a lot of stakes, a lot of storylines going into this one. For you, Bennett, when you're looking at this game and some of the storylines, where do you go first in terms of storylines for this game?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Big 12 race, it kind of feels like it goes through this game. When you look at what a win does for each team, the winner of this is really gonna put themselves in a position um, to get that seat in Arlington later on. Especially you look at Texas Tech and you look at what they have on their schedule the rest of the way. Like this is the one that they just need to get out of the way, and they'll feel like they're in the driver's seat. For Utah, got a little bit of a stretch here, right? You know, going to Morgantown isn't going to be anything easy. Uh, you get a bye week after that, and then you get Arizona State. That's not going to be easy. Going to Provo, that's not going to be easy. So it's like this is that first step, that measuring stick to say like, hey, we can get this party started. So for both teams, this is important. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of those Big 12 title implications that run through the game that's being played on Saturday in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I think this is a big one in terms of the Big 12 race. And when you look at the two schedules, but for Utah and Texas Tech, obviously this is kind of a must win. I wouldn't say for both, but I would say, this is a pretty big one for both programs. But when you look at Tech's schedule, it's pretty, it's not the most difficult schedule moving forward after this. So this is a pretty important one for Utah and that, but with this, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this game, and that that's pretty significant when you're talking about what Utah. And I think it speaks to the talent on both rosters. When this conversation and this game was on the schedule, I think everybody sort of had it circled in as a game that everybody was interested in, and I think Matt Miller put it out there pretty succinctly in terms of what this game entails, right? Texas Tech, Utah is must-see TV for NFL scouts and NFL draft fans, with what we're going to see in terms of the offensive line versus the defensive line, with David Bailey and Romello Height rushing off the edge with Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fano. This is a big-time game, and a lot of people recognize it as that. And so this is a big one. And for Utah, it sounds like there's going to be about 20 NFL scouts in attendance for this game. And typically, you'll get a handful, you get a couple, you get 3 or 4. To have 20 in attendance, around 20. I don't know the exact number just yet. I think they're still kind of finalizing some trips for scouts, but I was told the expectation is to come in around 20 NFL scouts in attendance for this one. So pretty big matchup. And, this is not just an opportunity for the 4 that I mentioned. This is an opportunity for other guys to put themselves on the map in front of NFL scouts. So, in terms of the bigger picture and some of the individuals in this contest, I think there's a lot to gain for a number of guys, and I think a lot to prove for others. So this is a big one in terms of looking ahead and their own player development.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely excited to watch those trenches, though. But in terms of you got some Heisman watch, even and when you talk about this. If one of these teams were able to go through an unscathed season and make some noise that way, like you both of these guys are on the early Heisman watch. A good showing would do a lot for their cause. Dampier slid a little bit back in the Heisman odds, if you will. But that's also, a little bit out of sight, out of mind. Played a game against Wyoming, some of those bigger matchups that happened last week. But this is one of those moments. If you wanted to, sip on some of that Heisman juice, this is one of those games that could present some of those moments. So it'll be fun to see both quarterbacks, especially Utah's Devin Dampier, and just see what he can do in the spotlight that he hasn't had at this kind of level before.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I think Dampier slid a little bit in the Heisman conversation just because out of sight, out of mind. And I think this is the opportunity for both him and Bayron Morton, who, both have plus 2,000 odds right now in terms of Heisman watch, and being on a national stage with the conversation around this game. I think this one has pretty significant implications for their Heisman candidacy moving forward. And that's crazy to talk about already this early in the season, right? A Utah player. Can't remember the last time we had this conversation this early in the year, right? Tyler Huntley had a tremendous 2019 season, but that wasn't until we got into October and November where that conversation genuinely started to happen. But credit to Dampier and what he's done so far. And so, for this one this weekend, obviously we know with everything going on, right? Big noon kickoff coming in, Barstool Sports with Dave Portnoy and everything going on with that. Sounds like the Pie got a surprisingly nice score.
Nice.
We like to hear that. We'll wait for the official video to drop, but it sounds like some good scores have been had in the Salt Lake Valley. So we like that. That's big plus.
Spent a lot of money at the bookstore too. Spent a lot of money at the bookstore. I saw a picture of him. He's got like all these hats and shirts and.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to the bookstore, man. Yeah, dude. Put some respect on the bookstore.
And real quick on the Heisman note, I don't want people rolling their eyes like we're not going to see a Heisman or getting into that. Like that's not the point. The point is to get that spotlight, get your guys in the spotlight. Let them maybe Dampier can make a trip to New York, right? And then there's other guys in recruiting and stuff like that. It's huge, right? With that being said, a guy like Dampier, the numbers that he could put up with his arm and legs, like it's also not crazy to think about it too. But just want to make sure we're like, tempering some of those expectations, but having fun and honestly just getting Utah in the spotlight as often as possible with success. That's going to build on everything that's to come.
Yeah, for sure. And the last thing here with this storyline, obviously all eyes on Utah again. With like I said, with big noon kickoff coming in, I think this is an opportunity to showcase what Utah is all about. But at the same time, there's another team going to be playing in this game, and they're going to be looking to play spoiler and make themselves the story of this game. And I think that is going to be something that is going to be really important to keep in mind for Kyle Whittingham. His coaching staff is, Texas Tech, Joey McGuire. They're looking to be the biggest, baddest dudes in the conference now. They want to take that title. They want to establish themselves as the top of the hierarchy in the Big 12, and they'll be looking to come into Salt Lake City. They'll be looking to punch first, punch fast, and punch hardest. And that's going to be a big key for Utah is taking care of business, right? Protecting your home field, relying on the crowd at Rice-Eccles Stadium, and coming out and doing what you have done through the first 3 games. I think that kind of covers the storylines. Excited for this game to be played out. Excited for the festivities Saturday morning. Everything going on. It's going to be a busy, wild Saturday morning, and you've got some wild travel plans, dude. You are a freaking stud, Bennett, to make this all happen, dude.
I'm gonna be tired on Sunday, but I'm on dad duty on Sunday too. So get it done.
All right, let's run through some of these numbers real quick and talk about this matchup. Obviously, with Utah, going through the numbers here, 1,551 total yards, 6.5 yards per play, 45.7 points per game, 71% third down conversion. I'm going to move us down here. 93.7% red zone conversion. I should have looked up the touchdown conversion rate in the red zone there to be a little bit more specific. Utah throwing the ball 628 yards, 7.1 per attempt, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 73% completion rate, 209 yards per game. And then Utah, just an absolute dog on the ground, 870 yards, 6 per attempt, 11 touchdowns, 48 per game, and 290 yards per game. Looking at this Texas Tech defense, let me pull this up here. Oh, that's the offense. Apologies. That was the offense again. Whoops. The offense again. Oh my gosh. Did I double up on the offense? That's not good. Well, anyways, There we go. Total defense. I just didn't update the offense, but Texas Tech defense, 692 yards allowed, 3.7 yards per play, only giving up 28.8% third down conversion rate and 66.6% red zone conversion allowed. Through the air, 568 yards, 5.5 per attempt, 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 51% completion rate, 189 yards per game. On the ground, 124 yards total through 3 games. So that is a fascinating number. But obviously, given the competition that they faced, that's going to be a fun one to see after Saturday. 1.5 yard per attempt, 1 touchdown, 27 attempts per game, 41 yards per game. So pretty interesting stuff there. Bennett, when we're talking about the Utah offense versus the Texas Tech defense, I guess, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? And we'll go through specific matchups here in just a little bit, but just in general, when looking at some of these numbers, what are you most interested in?
Yeah, I want to find out how good their run defense actually is. I mean, they haven't really played anybody with a pulse yet. You know that they have that talent up front. I really want to see our Hogs versus theirs and see if we can get some of that push and see if we can get some of that ground game going. Because I think once that happens, then all of a sudden Texas Tech's going to start committing more resources to stopping the run. And as soon as they start committing more resources, that opens up some opportunity for Dampier to silence some of the naysayers that think that he can't throw the ball, right? So I think it all kind of works together, but that's what I'm really interested in is if we can come out and we can just get our bread and butter and be able to, run it to the outside, run it up the middle, use the motion to get stuff out. I want to see us be able to play our game early. And I think that's where it all starts if Utah's going to win that battle of offense versus Texas Tech defense. As far as a passing attack goes, I think that we're going to have to see it at some point. And that's the one concern I have is when push does come to shove, are we going to be able to set and make that answer? And we do get into some more of that later, but so I'm starting to get ahead of myself a little bit, but yeah.
No, you're good.
I want to run the ball. I want to run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's look at some of these Texas Tech offensive. Oh, is this off? Nope. This defense. Oh, I think did I get this one? Nope. Oh, this is what I get for live streaming. Anyways, I'll just read you guys the numbers here. Texas Tech offense, 1,808 total yards, 8.1 yards per play, 58 points per game, 55% third down conversion. That was a surprising number. 90% red zone conversion rate. Through the air, they've thrown for 923 yards, 11.4 yards per attempt, 11 touchdowns to 1 interception, 70% completion rate, 307 yards per game. And then the Utah defense, 672 yards allowed, 4 yards per play, 22% third down conversion rate allowed. And then they've only given up 3 red zone trips, but all 3 have converted points. So 100% red zone conversion rate allowed. Through the air, 402 yards, 5.4 per attempt, 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions, 50.7% completion rate, 134 yards per game. On the ground, they've given up 270 total yards, 3 per attempt, 1 touchdown, and 90 yards per game. So this is going to be an interesting battle when we're talking about, some of the matchups here, the general numbers, right? You look at that Texas Tech offense and obviously pretty gaudy numbers. But again, given their competition and who they've compiled those stats against, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of question marks around how legitimate is this team and what can we actually expect. So let's dive into now some of our key matchups in this game. And top 5 matchups, factors in this game. I think for me, Ben, and I'm sure you feel the same way, this is a big one. The Utah offensive line versus the Texas Tech defensive front. What was interesting going through those numbers, Utah's average rushing per game at 290 yards per game is more than double what Texas Tech has allowed total through 3 games. So this is, again, when you're talking about an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, like this is what that is statistically. Now, again, talking about the level of competition, you sort of, um, we'll see what that looks like on Saturday. Who's benefited more from the competition they faced so far? But I was really surprised to see that rushing total number. And then, with Texas Tech, obviously they're very athletic up front. They have playmakers, guys that have those playmaking instincts, and David Bailey and Romello Height, and that's going to be a big difference from what Utah has seen. I thought Wyoming was really tough and physical and violent. Even there were some moments where I was really impressed with their physicality, but they lacked some of those playmaking instincts that these guys have. And so that's going to be a big thing for me, is how do they manage that? But going into this, Utah, we've talked a lot about the movement that they've generated up front in the run game. We've talked a lot about the time that they've provided Devin Dampier in the pocket. But for me, the most important thing that I've come across in terms of what speaks to this offensive line and the level that they're performing at is, and this comes from Sports Info Solutions, Utah currently has the lowest rate of blown blocks, with just 6 blown blocks. That's tough to say. I'm not going to try to say it too many times. 6 blown blocks through 214 snaps. So that is really impressive, and it's going to sound more impressive here in a little bit when I tell you what Texas Tech's offensive line blown blocks number is. It's much bigger. So that's going to be a key for me, is this offensive line continuing to play clean and continuing to do what they've done through the first 3 games.
Yeah, this is an important matchup, right? You hear a lot about the Utah offensive line. We've gotten a lot of flowers leading into the season. So far, they've been as good as they advertised. The run game's been phenomenal as a result. We've been able to bully up front and get what we want on the ground. And in comes Texas Tech. Not just our first real test as far as an opponent goes, but first real test as far as a team that is equipped to be able to stop what we want to do. If Utah wants to win, they're going to need to be able to pound the rock. And Texas Tech has every intention of stopping that and taking away the run. And that's going to force Dampier into situations where he has to beat them with his arm. And if he's able to make some throws early and force Texas Tech to respect the throw game, that's where Utah's going to be able to have a balanced attack through and through. And, Texas Tech has been dominant thus far, but they also haven't been tested. Utah's rushing attack has been dominant this far, also hasn't been tested. So something's got to give here on Saturday.
Yeah. I think we're gonna learn a lot about these two teams, and especially where their strengths are and how good these guys actually are. So we'll see. All right, next big matchup: Utah secondary versus the Texas Tech receivers. This is a big one.
Yeah, I think it's important for Utah. So let's talk, I guess, about it. So they've got Coy Eakin, that's their leading receiver, and they have also got a Caleb Douglas, both capable guys. Got to imagine that we'll see Smith Snowden follow around Coy Eakin a bit. I saw a joke that he might be out because of a sunburn. Sorry if I'm not supposed to go there, but I went there. Anyway, Coy Eakin, a lot of talent there. Really good kid, strong kid. Makes plays. You could expect to see Smith Snowden potentially cover him with some of that star coverage, and then Caleb Douglas, that'll be Scooby Davis potentially. That'll be his matchup and his guy to follow around. But I think it's important, with however the matchups play out, it's important for Utah to limit the explosive plays and focus on just keeping the play in front of the defense. We give that dink and dunk, but don't let the throw game get behind you. Texas Tech has 14 passing touchdowns on the season, and 9 of them are from 20 yards out or further. So they've got some big plays to get in the end zone. And if Utah can absorb the little jabs and bend but not break, and force Texas Tech to execute, play in and play out, and sustain drives as opposed to getting those big plays, it'll definitely make for a better day on Saturday.
Yeah, I think I think that's a great point. Obviously limiting explosives, that's something that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But for me, regardless of the individual matchup, this is where Utah needs to be really, really physical. This is something that Coach Mac Leftwich emphasizes with his receivers, is being physical, because they utilize the screen game pretty heavily. Um, it's a big part of Leftwich's offense. They're looking for those easy completions, especially on first down. And I'm going to talk more about first down here in a little bit. But Utah's defensive secondary needs to be physical with these receivers from the jump. They need to get on them quick. They need to be physical from the jump and maintain it throughout the game. This is something where you can't allow these guys to come in and establish a more physical presence, because it's just going to create opportunities. It's going to create big plays. They utilize the screen game, like I said, pretty significantly. And when they execute the way that they're capable of, it can create big plays. So Utah's defensive secondary really needs to be sharp, especially in some of these bunch and 2-by-2 formations. That's where, Leftwich and this offense, they really like to get the screen going, is when they're in trips and in these 2-by-2 situations. So when you see that stuff, that's going to be the key. And so Utah secondary needs to be really physical. I think that's going to be a key. And two, I think we'll talk more about the quarterback's position coming up here. In fact, let's talk about it now. This is one that I think is obviously going to headline the game. Devin Dampier versus Bayron Morton. Obviously, we talked about them in terms of their Heisman candidacy and being on the early watch list already. But this is one where I think there's a little bit of a blueprint in terms of what to do with Morton. But Bennett, just how do you feel about this quarterback matchup?
Yeah, I'll start with Morton. Coming into the season, not too high on him at all. I was surprised that Texas Tech went out there and invested in a lot of positions. Obviously, smart to invest in the trenches, but they didn't upgrade at the quarterback position. I know that he has a lot of experience. He's just never been much of a world beater. The game on Saturday feels like you need to have somebody that can be a world beater, and I've never felt like he's had that it factor. Maybe it's because he's one-dimensional, not the type of guy that's ever posed problems for a Utah defense. And then you got to look at some of the numbers. The numbers are floating around. I think everybody's seen him at this point, but his career passer rating goes from an 86 to a 35 when he goes from a clean pocket to being pressured. And then when he's home, he's got an 80 passer rating. But on the road, he's got a 59 passer rating. So if Rice Eccles can be loud and Scally can dial up the blitzes, or if we're even able to get home with a 4-man rush, it's going to be a long day for Morton and the Red Raiders. You want me to get into Dampier, or you want to go on Morton?
I'll chime in on Morton. So in even his little playing time through these 3 games, he's only played 85. He's had 85 dropbacks. He's generated a 38.4 PFF grade when under pressure. So that's a big thing for Utah, is getting pressure on him. But again, part of this, a big point of emphasis with this offense, is getting the ball out quickly with these screens, which is why I think being physical at the line of scrimmage is going to be key to disrupt the screen game and the quick passing game of this Texas Tech offense. So, with this, let me dive into my notes here. I think you already talked about it. Minimizing the completions in the vertical passing game, that's priority number 1, right? This offense is explosive. It's generated a lot of big plays. And what I think you can do is changing the picture in terms of what he sees coverage and the coverage shells pre-snap and post-snap, right? Changing that picture. Make him second guess what he's seeing out there and create that hesitation. Morton in this passing attack, they want to take shots down the field, and they've obviously found consistent success doing so. You're not going to completely eliminate it. They're going to connect on a couple of opportunities, but something that, Kyle Whittingham has talked about in terms of what they've got in that defensive secondary, they've got veterans that are just really good about forgetting what just happening, moving on to the next play. And I think that's going to be a big key here. And just doing what they can to muck up the passing efficiency of this Texas Tech game. That's what they've done. That's what they did against UCLA, limiting Nico Iamaleava to about 50% completion rate. That's the goal. That's the task, right? Is making it inefficient. And you can do that in a number of different ways. Obviously, getting pressure is a big thing to help impact Morton's ability, but you can do it with coverages, and you can do it with individual play in coverage as well. So a lot can go in to impact Morton's efficiency, and I think it's going to be important for Utah to incorporate all of that on Saturday.
Totally agree. And as far as Dampier goes, just needs to play his game, get a mix of production with his arm, get the production with his legs. There's going to be that point in time, as we talked about. There's going to be that point in time that Texas Tech, they're going to load the box, they're going to fully commit to stopping the run, and at that point, if Dampier can find ways to move the chains with his arms, the rest will take care of itself. Thus far, he's been poised, appears to be in total control of not just the offense but the team, and he doesn't get too high in moments, he doesn't get too low in moments. And if we see that throughout all four quarters on Saturday, it's tough to see Utah unhappy with the result.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Dampier just needs to continue to play his game. And I know that there was a picture of him that's been deleted, and I think Utah fans don't need to worry about Dampier. He's going to be out there Saturday. He's going to be playing his game. He's going to be fine. So is he 100%? No, he's not 100%. Nobody is 100% right now, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be able to play his game. So again, just do what he's done. And there's going to be opportunities. I fully anticipate Texas Tech being a little bit more aggressive in terms of them wanting to take away the run, and that's going to create opportunities. And for Dampier, his whole focus has been making good decisions, good sound decisions with the ball, whether it be in the option, whether it be in the passing attack. And that needs to be his priority in this game, is just continuing to make those good decisions, because it's obviously led to success. So let's get to the next matchup here. And this is an important one. This one isn't getting as much talk, but the Utah defensive front versus the Texas Tech offensive line. It's not getting as much talk because it's just kind of you're counting it in terms of the need to get pressure on Bayron Morton. But this is a matchup that Utah has to control, because Leftwich, as much as we're talking about this offense being, a passing centric offense, and it is, they are an RPO to throw type of offense. They want to get the ball to their skill players and that sort of thing, their receivers. This is something where you can't allow this offensive line to generate movement up front. And they've invested some money, maybe not as much money in the offensive line as they did the defensive line, but they've brought in some bodies. And with this offensive line at Texas Tech, to me, this is, a really important matchup for Utah not to take for granted. As I mentioned earlier with Utah, they are the lowest in the Big 12 in terms of blown blocks, with 6 through 3 games. And given the level of competition that Texas Tech has faced, they're coming into this contest with 28 blown blocks and 3 holding penalties. And so this is a matchup when you're talking about John Henry Daly getting pressure off of the edge. You're talking about Aliki Vamahi and Jonalea Ea being disruptive up front. Dallas Vakalahi potentially playing, Logan Fano potentially playing, and having that defensive end rotation that Utah does. This is a matchup where they've got to control the trenches. They've got to limit the success on the ground game, but there are going to be opportunities for them to get pressure on Morton because the offensive line has not been sound in terms of their blocking up front. The 28 blown blocks are split evenly between run it 14 in the run game, 14 in the passing game. They lead the Big 12 in blown blocks. So that's a big one. And so, it's going to be vital that Utah comes into this and does what they do, and that's control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I with those 28 blown blocks leading the Big 12.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is. I'm sitting there thinking when you're saying, I was like, that can't be that. That's tough. That's tough. Certified tough one. And it's a tough matchup for Texas Tech's O-line, I think. If the caliber of opponent they've played thus far is able to generate pressure, I gotta think that we're able to do it. And if Utah's able to get home with a 4-man rush and everybody else is able to sit back, it's going to be a long day for Morton and the Texas Tech offense. I like Utah's chances to get pressure early and get it often. That's an O-line that comes in largely unchallenged. There's a lot on film that the coaches can see where those weaknesses are, and those weaknesses come both run and pass blocking. It's not like they're not getting the push on run. They're not getting any of it. And so it's going to be crucial for Utah's front six to create that pressure. Ideally, the front four, right? Just our D line, and get Morton rattled, get him thrown off on his timing, make it hard on him. And again, if we can get home with a 4-man rush, it's going to be nice.
Oh, it's huge, right? Because Texas Tech, they want to spread you out. They want to spread you thin horizontally. So you're going to have minimal numbers in the box. So you're going to have your linebackers, on an island against Jacoby Williams, the running back. You're going to have to be sound in terms of your fundamentals. You're going to have to tackle well, but it's really going to be on that front four to control the line of scrimmage against the run and getting pressure. It's going to be primarily on them. But I do think, as Mr. Crane pointed out, that Scally can certainly dial up some pressures. And I certainly think there's a way for a path for them to maximize the potential of some of those pressures. So this gets us to our final matchup, and this is a wild card factor. So I'm curious to hear yours. I've got mine. I'll let you go first. What is your wild card factor in this matchup?
Yeah, it might be kind of corny and not what you're expecting, but the crowd is my wild card factor. You've heard the nonsense, we'll call it, 10 a.m. at Rice Eccles is nothing to worry about, blah blah blah. If the crowd's there and ready to rock and roll and can be loud from the jump, it's going to cause some problems. Home field advantage is absolutely a thing. Don't make it easy on them. Don't make it easy on them, Utah.
Yeah, I think that is certainly a big time factor here, is Utah fans showing up, being loud from the jump, and making that presence felt. To me, maybe one of the most important things that Utah can do in this matchup is limiting Texas Tech's success on first down, particularly the very first down of a series. Leftwich's offense, it's an up-tempo offense. That's when it's at its best, is when they're moving the ball and keeping the pace, keeping the tempo up to keep defenses on their heels. And, what we've seen over the years, and I remember a couple years ago, I think it was 2023, Cal coming in, they had an offense that was really potent. But Utah limited their success on first down, and it completely put the brakes on that Cal offense. And obviously it's different. I think that was Jake Spavital at the time at Cal, who's now at Baylor. So similar styles in terms of what we've seen on the offense. Baylor last year was a Spavital offense. Leftwich is similar in terms of being a spread up-tempo offense. When you limit the success on first down, it just does so much for you to keep them behind the chains. And here's a number for you. So Bayron Morton on first down leads the Big 12 conference with 413 passing yards. They are looking to move the ball, and part of that is the RPO, where they're trying to get these quick screens. They're trying to get easy yardage that you're just giving to them because it's 1st and 10. And so that's going to be a key. And why again, getting back to Utah's secondary being physical at the line of scrimmage, it's because of first down. If you can take away that screen action and you can limit their success on first down, keeping them behind the chains. That's going to allow your defensive line to then sort of dictate things on potentially second and third downs, where you can be in those situations where you pin your ears back and you let John Henry Daly eat off the edge, right? So that's going to be a key for me is limiting Texas Tech's first down success and that. So, all right, that is our matchup breakdown. I hope we were insightful. I hope we were informative. I'd be curious to hear from everybody. What are your thoughts on the matchup? What are your thoughts on what we're going to see Saturday between these teams? Appreciate Crane for chiming in with some of his comments and his thoughts. He's doing the all 22 breakdown stuff. He's certainly grinding the tape, and we love to see it. So let's get into some of these predictions, huh, Bennett? Let's get into that. You want to do the over-unders? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I told you it wasn't going to be my last time, but it was like 2 times ago, but never my last time. Let's get into the rapid fire over-unders here. Who scores Utah's first touchdown?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say Dallin Bentley. I'm gonna say Dallin Bentley. He is somebody that I think we're not fully in terms of his value and what he's bringing to the offense. We're not fully appreciating what he's meant. I think he's got the second highest pass catching grade on the team. He's also got like the fourth highest run blocking grade on the team. He is a significant presence on this offensive side of the ball. I think they find a way to get him into the end zone first.
That's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go with Mr. Reliable. Since you're going to go with Mr. Reliable, I'm going to go with we're going to take the top off and we're going to get a long bomb to Tobias Merriweather. I'm going for it.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going for it. We got a lot of people chiming in. Wayshawn.
Yep. 2 for Wayshawn.
Got a lot of that.
Crane put an over-under that we actually have on here. We'll get to yours, Crane. All right. Which Utah defensive back gets an interception? Take my guy again. Dare you.
I'm going to say, what do I think? I'm going to say Smith Stone gets one in this one.
Okay.
I think he gets one.
I'm going to go with Jackson Benny just because it just
keep the streak, right. Boy. Keep the streak. Get a turkey.
Play your way right.
Oh no, it's not 3 in a row. Yeah, it's not 3 in a row, but or is it? It would be 3 in a row.
Brennan Smith said John O'Hall. I did kind of want to go John O'Hall. I like that pick.
I think there's going to be opportunities for John O'Hall in this matchup because Texas Tech, they've got a tight end that they like to get involved in, Terrence Carter. They've got running backs that they like to involve in the passing game as well, Jacoby Williams. That's going to be key. John O'Hall he's going to have opportunities in coverage. He's got to be on point, but I think that could be one for sure.
Yep. Moto Tobias for 6, first play of the game. That's kind of what I have in mind. Maybe that play action, something.
Yeah.
That'd be poetry right there. That would, that's why you don't miss opening kick, huh? Let's just say that. All right. Does Dampier rush for over 60 yards?
Ooh. I'm going to say he does. I'm going to say he does. I'm not by too much. But yeah. Yeah.
Over,
I think
under,
he does.
Sacks on Dampier, over, under 1.5.
I'm gonna say Texas Tech gets one.
So you got under with 1?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 1. I wanted to put 0.5 there. It just felt like it was too easy, so I had to make it hard. I don't think they're gonna get home twice. But 1, yeah. Over under sacks on Morton. How many times do you think Utah gets home on Morton? Over and under 1.5.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say 2.
Yeah, Utah, give me 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2. Give me 2.
Utah turnovers, like Utah turning the ball over under 1.5.
Are we counting fourth downs?
Yeah, we'll count that as a turnover. Turnover on downs.
I think this is going to be a really competitive game. I think this is going to be a back and forth. It's going to be all 60 minutes, right? Like that's sort of the game that I envision. I think there's going to be a couple of fourth downs that Utah gets into, and I think they convert. So I'm going to say under.
I'll go, since we're putting fourth downs in it, I'm going to go over. I think we can maybe find ourselves in a situation where we maybe, on Texas Tech side of the field, we maybe chase some of the points a little bit and
I can
go
see
for
that.
it.
I could see that.
I do have a feeling that we'll see our first interception thrown on the season. I do think that's coming. So I've got that.
Yeah. I kind of am with you there. I think this Texas Tech secondary, it's solid. Like they've got length, they've got size, athleticism, and they've made plays as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an interception in this one.
What about Texas Tech turnovers? Over under 1.5.
If Utah can play their game and if they can, muck up this passing game, I think there's a good opportunity for them to get at least one, takeaway. I think Texas Tech, I think they're going to emphasize protecting the ball coming into this, right? Limiting their risk maybe. But they're also going to be looking to take shots. So there's this sort of balance where you can go either way. I think if Utah can get pressure, I think you like your odds of Utah turning them over a couple times. And that's going to be key in this one. Like turnovers, right? The turnover battle, it's going to be key in this one.
Yeah, I like a pick, and I like Utah putting the ball on the ground. So I'll take the over there. Over under 200 rushing yards for Utah. They're giving up about $1.45 a game. So
Texas Tech,
yeah,
they're giving up 40 yards per game. They've given up like 120 total yards. But again,
that's okay. Yeah. Anyway, 200. You think we can get there? Utah can get there?
I think they'll end up right around 200 yards.
I think we get over that. Start to get up to that like 250. It's a really good day. 200 yards feels about right.
Yeah, I think this is a game where you'll see sort of the passing game emerge as sort of the focal point of the offense. I shouldn't say focal point, but I think that's where Utah is going to have to move the balls through the air a little bit more, maybe. And I think what I'm sort of thinking is a 250 passing, 200 rushing type of game for Utah. So that's sort of what I'm seeing.
John Henry Daly pressures over under 3.5.
Man. What's his name? Howard Sampson. He's the big left tackle. He's 6'8", 340 pounds. He's given up 8 pressures so far this season, 3 holding penalties as well. So, given what John Henry Daly has done so far, I like his chances to maybe in terms of combination pressures and penalties, right? Maybe if he can get a holding penalty, if we count that here. Otherwise, I think he's going to come in right at 3. I think Howard is a big body. He's a big presence. He's going to be the toughest matchup that JHD has seen so far. But I think JHD is going to be disruptive still, even though he may only end up with three or so pressures.
Yeah, I like the over here. I'm seeing a lot in the chat. JHD 6 pressures, over, slamming the over. Can he guard that spin move though?
That's a good point.
Yeah, a lot of good.
Again, it's 340 pounds. That's a lot of mass, right? That's a lot of mass to move and to change direction. Can lead to being a little bit grabby, and which is why I say like maybe he doesn't end up with 3 pressures, but I think he'll still be disruptive, maybe because he's getting some yellow laundry getting thrown on the field. So that's we'll see.
And score prediction.
I'm thinking, like I said, I think this is going to be a really competitive game. I think Texas Tech is really determined to come in here and make a statement. I think Joey McGuire has done a really good job with that program. I think they've obviously invested a ton of money into it, and especially where it matters. They didn't go out and buy a bunch of top flight receivers. They went out and built through the trenches, and I think that's going to be a thing for them that'll benefit them this season. But I think with this being at Rice-Eccles Stadium, with Devin Dampier playing as well as he is, with the run game being what it is, and with Utah's strengths being what they are with that offensive line, I like Utah in this one. I'm thinking something 34, 27, 34, 24, something like that, where maybe Texas Tech gets a score late to close the gap. I'm thinking Utah ends up somewhere in that 34-27 type of range.
We're close. I've got 31-27. It's what the gut told me at the beginning of the week, and I'm not moving.
Yeah. Always trust the gut.
Even if I've filled that gut with some pretty good client dinners, that's what's getting me through the week. But is that all we got before we jump into the space? I see a lot of people putting stuff in the chat for scores. 31-28.
Yeah. Like
Adam Howick for all your heating and cooling needs. Got you, Adam.
This is going to be a fun one, man. Like I said, I've got a lot of respect for what Tech is doing. They are doing it the right way, building through the trenches, that defensive line in particular. One thing that I didn't talk about was that interior offensive line for Utah versus that defensive tackle group with Lee Hunter and Skylar Gill Howard and that group. They've got some beef up front. They've got some size. That's going to be a tough one. So as much as the talk is around what's going on in the edges, I think Utah's interior line really needs to come ready for a fight. It's going to be an absolute dogfight inside.
I'm excited. It's kind of been one of those what does Utah got? What does Utah got? We're gonna know. We're gonna get a lot of questions answered on Saturday, and don't have to sit around and wait all day for it. All eyes on Utah from the jump. Be there, be ready to go, and yeah, have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be up there early. I'm gonna be up there early. I've got some radio responsibilities around 8:00 with KSL Sports. I'm excited for that. Gonna be up. I think we're gonna be doing a pop-up shop. I think we're still doing that with Lodge 33 hats. I'm excited for that. So we're gonna be up there 7 a.m. bright and early, and I think it's gonna be a good time up there. And with Big Noon Kickoff again, if you didn't see the announcement, they're shutting down Guardsman Way. They want everybody to kind of pack in the roads with people. They want the roads to serve as sort of an overflow for the Big Noon Kickoff stage and the setting that they've got there. I think Utah fans are excited for this one. I'm excited to see the turnout on Saturday morning, and I think it's going to be a great competitive matchup with a lot riding on it. So I think that's going to do it for us, but we're gonna hop into space real quick and keep this conversation going to hear from everybody. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. These have been a lot of fun, and looking forward to doing a live after the game on Saturday. So we'll cut it here, and we'll get the space up going pretty soon here.
Thanks, everybody.